with it. This is the first question, and it is from Facebook. Regina. Are there senses on the other side? Feeling, touch, smell, intimacy. And I just want to say, so if you're just tuning in and this is your first time watching the show, you might say, how are these people going to tell you about, are there senses on the other side? Other side meaning life after death. Okay, so briefly, this is based on Swedenborg's experiences. Emanuel Swedenborg's recorded spiritual experiences, other things we've read and heard. We're just giving you that information. We don't claim that we are omniscient or these kinds of things, right? We studied, we put in the work, and now we're giving it to you guys. Okay, so are there senses on the other side? Cara, do you want to kick this one off?
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
So what does Swedenborg say, and what resonates with you?
So Swedenborg says that on the other side, we do indeed have senses. In fact, we have senses way more exquisite than you and I are experiencing them in this world, especially sight and hearing. He does say that the sense of taste, not so much. There's something analogous to the sense of taste, he says, associated with the sense of smell. And let's see, touching, yes. Intimacy, yes. I think there's somewhere that talks about married couples being in the marital embrace all night long or something like that. Those are the things that come to mind immediately.
Absolutely. Okay, so do you guys want to cut the show off here? You guys have
That's good.
So senses are stronger, particularly sight and hearing, and I know that he says that because those correspond to love and wisdom, or the two like primal elements of everything. But what else? What else about? So do we still experience the world through senses, and how is that different? Or do you guys have any thoughts on that, Chelsea?
The main thing that comes to my mind is how Swedenborg says that all of our senses in the other world are, because it's the spiritual world, it's, the spiritual world is love and wisdom, which is the light and warmth, or experienced as light and warmth in the spiritual world, which is the Lord's love and wisdom radiating from the spiritual sun. And so our senses, although it's sort of hard to think about with just our physical body, where we're so used to just seeing and feeling as just these very material things, on the other side, seeing is understanding, and smelling is perceiving something about somebody else's quality of their spirit, and feeling is, I'm sort of pulling this together. I'm not thinking of a specific passage, but just like you sort of have a sense of what spiritually that can mean is, to touch somebody is to really know them or connect with them maybe in a more loving way, and to see somebody from a distance might be to have an understanding of them, but not maybe to think the same things as them, or so. That's a thought.
Yeah, and I'd say we could spend the hour on this question, I think, because when you say that, it makes me... So he says you have senses, like you experience life like a person. You can walk around and look at things. You relate. You have conversations, that kind of stuff. But there is this strange upgrade that he's talking that to see something spiritually is to understand it. But you also. So there's a lot there. Both that he just would experience that world like he experienced this world, but there's this extra meta layer of meaning or of interaction there. So I think that's cool. Do you want to weigh in on it before we move to
just
the next one?
A quick thought was that in this world there's sort of a limit, like there's below your threshold of hearing, or there's stuff that's so loud that it's painful or your ears bleed at a certain point, but there aren't those same kind of limits in the spiritual world. And you can experience a very intense light, Swedenborg says, but it doesn't hurt your eyes. And I've enjoyed the thought of just being able to hear things that can get so loud, but it doesn't hurt. And Swedenborg describes going to that world as awakening. And I think a lot of that has to do with your senses increasing, that it's an awakening. So you come into greater life, and people who have near-death experiences describe that kind of thing.
The light that doesn't hurt, yeah. I was just, you want me to say this first? I saw Jurassic Park yesterday, and it was about at the limit. It was very loud, but it'd be cool to think about. I can listen to something that's 10 times that loud, and that would, I would pay $18 for that. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say something equally interesting, which is that heaven is sort of like a choose your own adventure, where I think Swedenborg says that some people, when they cross over to the spiritual world, they don't even know that they've died. They think they're still in this world because those senses are so real. But I think But he also, when he's having his experiences in the spiritual world, he writes about how he just needs to think or wonder, what does it mean that there are these olive trees in this place that I'm sitting in? And then he gets given this perception of, oh, the olive trees are here because they correspond to the lovingness of the people who you're talking to. Yeah. And so it's sort of like we can go as deep into the meaning of what all the, what our sensory experiences in the spiritual world that we want to, but that people are able to have just the experience of, oh, I'm just chatting with my friends and we're hanging out, or I'm getting my work done, or something that's satisfying, but not necessarily this overload of like, what does it all mean? Like that's,
It's like some kind of high art where every detail is there for a reason. And if you want to look into it, you can, or you can just like walk from painting to painting.